everybody, Danielle Walker here. I'd love for you to check out my online boutique, Lux Lion. My mission for Lux Lion is to showcase innovative African designers and sustainable mission-driven brands. To do that, I bring you stunningly beautiful handcrafted jewelry and accessories from some of my absolute favorite places on earth. Small batch wholesale for storefronts is also available. Join me in celebrating African artistry and shop now at luxlion.us. Use promo code FREEDOM for an additional 10% off your purchase. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Freedom. Today is Wednesday, October 28th. It's 10 a.m. Central, and I am coming to you live on Voice of the People USA TV and radio network, on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. Wherever you're watching or listening, please give us a like, a share, a retweet, and put your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you're thinking. And just a reminder, you can always catch us on the audio-only podcast platforms the day after the interview goes live. So if you're traveling, you can download them there. Well, I'm your host, Danielle Walker, and on this show, we meet people who have rejected the status quo, who've broken with convention, have broken with the belief that the TV tells them the truth, and each of my guests in their own way are working to bring freedom to the world. Well, my guests today are so dear to my heart. Let me bring them forward. The Lord connected us in a very unexpected way, and we have been running on parallel tracks since meeting, I believe, 2 or maybe 3 years ago now, possibly longer. Darren and Monica Strong, or as I like to call them, Team Strong, are the founders, the founders of an organization called Homeland. They are pastors who have left the pulpit. They're high school sweethearts with 8 children. And possibly counting. You never know.
Breaking news.
They are content creators of the beautiful vlog Homeland and community builders behind their newest venture, Homeland United. And I will let y'all explain what all of that means shortly. But first, I start each show with a scripture. Well, welcome to the show first.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. And let me just fix this layout so we can see y'all a little bit better. There we go.
All right.
I can see both of y'all. Let me read the scripture of the day. Okay, so it's Isaiah chapter 54 and it's verses 2 and 3. And it says, "Enlarge the place of your tent, stretch out the curtains of your dwellings, spare not. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your pegs, for you will spread abroad to the right and to the left, and your descendants will possess nations and will resettle the desolate cities." And
anybody,
you hold
run through a wall.
I can feel you on that ball, girl. I can feel you. Just hold back. Wait till she get to her introduction.
Well, what it says to me is that things look one way, but God sees it differently, and it gives us an instruction to expect expansion and to get ready to build. And I felt the Lord sent me to this passage for y'all because you live your ways and you live your lives, in a way that says we're ceding our agenda to the Lord. We're going to live in expectation of adventure, of good, of increase, of favor, fruitfulness, and opportunity. So do y'all want to react to that? And then we can get into what Homeland is about.
Yeah, I mean, I will react to that because, 10 years ago, we were very calculated to the world standards. I mean, my background is in healthcare, nursing. Darren is in real estate. And so we were very calculated people. I mean, and just doing things the way we had been taught, which is to just be very strategic. And so when you say God sees things one way and what he's doing in our lives is so beyond what others see, or, and he's announcing things before others even see it. I mean, it is so true. And so 10 years ago, we took a radical leap of faith. And when we say Jesus still rolls up on your boat, like Jesus will still roll up on you in the middle of your job or your perfectly formed life, and he will call you to follow him. We do not believe in the cessation of any move of God with the apostles and with the New Testament. We do not think that that was the end of God's work on the earth. We think it was actually the beginning. Yeah. We think the New Testament is smaller than the Old Testament because it was just starting and it's still being written. Like are still in the moves of God, and we are all to be a new testimony. And we are now 10 years later just saying like God was faithful. We have only radically followed him at his word the last 10 years. We cannot tell you conventionally what we've done other than follow him at his word, and he has taken us on a wild ride.
Yeah.
Being a disciple is still a very real thing. I mean, we have found our lives written out in the word of God. So that invitation is there for those who are feeling it, who feel that calling. We say our lives are permission to go all in. Like if you're feeling that pull, we are here to give you permission now, 10 years later, to say it is absolutely worth following it. And that is amazing that verse is what you are speaking over us, because this is definitely our next season. We are going from Virginia to Hawaii, and it's like from the first state to the 50th state. I mean, he is like expanding our tent pegs like crazy, and like the year of the Vav, like to just go into like what God is speaking even in the Hebraic culture and through the Hebraic years. I mean, he is doing something so big and really driving our tent post in this year, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
So I know this may sound like total Japanese to somebody that's listening and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And that's amazing, because that was us 10 years ago. We didn't know any of this. We didn't know any of what people were saying, but there were specific people that we heard talking, and we were like, I don't know what they're saying, but it resonates with my spirit and I want what they have. And that is what encouraged us to just start seeking. And we just kept seeking and kept seeking and kept seeking. And God is so good. Just like he says, if you seek me in Jeremiah, if you seek me, you will find me. But it's hidden for you, not from you. But you've got to seek. Like you have to go on that journey. And so that's what we've done. And he has absolutely allowed us to be found by him. And yeah, it is so worth following. It's the only way to live. It is life and life more abundantly. And yeah,
it's so amazing. I'm just so excited to be on the For the Love of Freedom. You know, wherever God takes this conversation, I know we had an agenda, but he has one, and he may just come out and have his way, or we may stick to our agenda. But For the Love of Freedom, it's just so amazing that we're going to have this conversation about our journey and about what this show is about and just how it collides. And, you know, when Jesus first showed up on the scene and came out into his ministry after being hidden for 30 years, you know, he's like, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me. He's anointed me to set the captives free. And it's just like, wait a minute, I thought you're coming here to like establish your kingdom, save your people from tyranny and all this stuff. It's like, it's always starts with freedom, and who the Son has set free is free indeed. So that freedom looks different in every age. And within our generation, there's a lot of things that we need to be set free from. And I know your show covers a lot of those topics, but it really just starts with the invitation from Jesus to like, let me set you free. And then he takes you on this journey, and you find yourself being delivered from so many systems, structures, ideologies. Be not conformed to the world, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And so it's like your ideologies have to change, which is one of the hardest things for a human being to change. Like once we get set in our ways, like we're set in our ways. That's why change is so hard. And so when Jesus shows up on your boat, it's just like, the first invitation is like, I want to set you free. And so it's like, I love the show. It's like, you got to love, I mean, you got to want that so much. And then you've got to become in love with the idea of Jesus setting me free. So we can get into a lot of those discussions of what that looks like, but that's what I'm excited about. And it's just so true in that verse. We literally have been marinating. I mean, Monica sent me a book, a novel through text on that very verse, and it's just so crazy. When you're reading it, I'm like, hold on, babe, let her get you.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll tell you my secrets. My in my Bible above Isaiah 54, I have written why homeland. Like so why we are even being established is Isaiah 54.
That is so wild.
It is. So I'm like, this
Yeah,
is
it's like,
I
shoot to
love
the
God.
moon.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, thanks for having us. We're
Yeah,
excited.
well, you're so welcome. And yeah, we'll see where the Lord takes this. But as you were talking, Darren, I was just thinking about, the Lord's invitation to freedom is an invitation first to surrender. Like surrender is the path to freedom.
Mm,
And that is so counterintuitive to this control mindset, to this I'm gonna be scheduled down to the minute mindset, to the I'm going to literally be able to dictate every aspect of my life, curate every aspect of my life. The way the world sees me is going to be a certain kind of way. That's
amazing.
very hard for people. But if you look at people like yourselves, I think about there's a gentleman, a prophet named Nathan French, and he is probably one of the freest people I have ever seen. I don't know him personally, but I've seen him go on different shows like Elijah Streams, and he just recklessly follows the Lord. Like it looks reckless to the outside eye. And I know y'all have had some moments in life that have looked reckless to your friends or your family, but what you were doing was following the Lord. What you were doing was surrendering to your agenda. Would you talk about some of those experiences and what it looked like, what people told you you were doing, and how God used it?
You want to start? You want me to start?
I think that would sum up the entire last
Yeah,
10
I was
years.
gonna
Like
say.
Darren said, for us 10 years ago, just getting very basic, like we were on birth control. We were planning our children. And when we started reading the Bible ourselves, and with that mindset, freedom, ideology, all that was really our first approach with surrender. You can't actually have true freedom without surrender, because true freedom is only found in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, true freedom. So
That's good.
what is the American dream? For us growing up, it was like, the American dream is to own your home and be debt free and have a couple kids and a nice car and a job. We were taught, you go to school and you get a degree. Me, I was like, they said, you go get a healthcare job, you'll always have a job, right? Because people are always sick. And so they're like, go into healthcare, you'll always have a job. These are like the ideologies we were raised in. This is not just us. This is an entire generation of people that's being raised like this. Both parents working outside the home. So for me, it was actually just this year, somebody was talking about the American dream, and the American dream is actually what they established it on was freedom. Freedom was actually the American dream. And it was like, that totally blew my paradigm of America. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, see, I was disgusted with the America I grew up in, but what I grew up in is not what we were established as.
That's right.
And so I'm like, 10 years ago, we had to surrender when we listened to that whisper, Jesus, come follow me. We left our jobs, which who leaves their job in America with children?
And we were living in Northern Virginia. You may have little history there, Northern Virginia area, which is a very expensive area.
Yes.
You don't just leave jobs, you get 2 or 3 jobs when you're living up there.
Yeah.
So it is a constant grind. And so,
So we left our jobs, and God did actually drive us out of that location for us. We said he drove us into the wilderness, and he did. We were living on a family farm in my grandmother's house. She had passed away. And so he did drive us out of that area into what we say is the wilderness. And so we had 2 children at that point. And what we did is we postured ourselves in full surrender. Laying on the floor. We were also, talk about religious, like we were religiously not raised to be prostrate in front of the Lord. That is pretty uncomfortable to be laying on the floor, But actually, when you're reading the Bible, like this is the Spirit of God. When it comes onto people, recognize in all humility, I am nothing. I am in the presence of God, and woe is me, I should die. And so you do find yourself in a position of total being prostrate before the Lord is complete surrender. I mean, even just if you're looking at a posture of like a warrior, you would never lay down. You would never turn your back on something, you know? And so to be prostrate is to block everything out of your life, and you're laying on the floor. And that's how we came before the Lord, and we said, Lord, teach us your word. We had been raised Christians, so we were 30 years old at that point. Teach us your word, not from a man's perspective. We're going to open the Bible in Genesis, and we want you to teach us. And we started reading our Bible with that posture. Go ahead.
How did you get there? How did you get to that point of prostrate on the floor? How did you get to the point of we've got to leave our jobs?
Well, when we were in worship, Darren was in worship at the church. We were campus pastors, and we were in a big non-denominational church, multi-campus, just leading people. And we just that's a whole nother story about us. I mean, we were high school sweethearts, and we always wanted to do ministry out of our overflow. We wanted to be business owners that were affluent, and we wanted to be philanthropists. So we wanted to do ministry out of like an overflow.
Yeah, this is very practical to help somebody that's listening. That's what we always wanted to do in high school, was ministry. So we knew the destination of we knew why we were created. There wasn't like any confusion. Like there was no other real passion in our life. When we were like in a ministry setting, or we led a Bible study in high school, that was just we knew this is what we need to do with the rest of our life. And so from there, we did what most Americans do. Okay, how do I map my life to that? Well, this is the way I want it to look. I don't want to be broke, because most people in ministry are broke. And honestly, I don't want to get paid for it. So what we thought in our brain is, let's become rich. Let's do ministry out of our overflow, and like just live off 10 and give 90. That was like, so. I mean,
as an 18 and a 16-year-old, this was our conversations.
And so we're like, God, we're going to open up a bunch of businesses. You're going to make us wealthy. And we're going to give 90% of our wealth away, and we're going to do ministry.
Yeah. Sounds like an awesome plan.
Yeah. So that was our plan. And
so we spent our entire 20s trying to make that happen. And that is the way, again, an entire generation was formed, is we are taught by adults older than us, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And Darren and I press parents now, and we're like, we want an entire parental generation to raise their children. Like, why did God create you?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. What is that for? What part of the puzzle are you to play that God is weaving for this generation? And so
we found ourselves at 30. We went through our whole 20s trying to become wealthy.
Serial entrepreneurs,
just doing
failing at a lot.
Everything. It's like 99% of it. Enough to keep us fed was working, and then the rest was just like complete failure.
We were like, our plan's not working.
Yeah. So
we found ourselves doing the church campus pastor while working as a nurse and in real estate. So we were like, we were doing our grind to provide, and we actually worked for the church for 5 years, never being paid. And then at the end, the last couple of years, I mean, Darren was working 40 plus hours a week at the church. Whoa. And so like pulling full-time hours, but never being paid or compensated. But
so he answered that part of the prayer. But I'm like, God, did you forget about the wealth part? This is twofold. It's not going to work if you don't make me wealthy. So
it's so true.
So we find ourselves at 30. We're at the church, and this is the practical nugget. I'm in worship one day, and I just hear this whisper, "It's now or never." And I knew exactly what that meant. And then there was a little bit of confusion, because I'm just like, what that meant is like, you're either going to come follow me and let me take you down the journey of why I created you to be in ministry and what that looks like, or your calling's going to be removed from you. And most people are like, oh yeah, God doesn't work like that. Well, yeah, he does. He rolls up on your boat and he says, come follow me. If those disciples didn't go follow him, he was gone. It's not going to sit around for 10 years while they're fishing with their daddy and waiting until they respond.
He's going to find somebody else,
He's
right?
going to find somebody else.
You're right.
So that's what he did. He rolled up on me, and I
Same
knew.
thing in the Old Testament. And that's why the Old Testament is so the nature, the reason we have the Bible is not to just historically read it like this is a good book. It's actually to read it so you know the character of God, and you know how he works, and you know his actions, behaviors, and norms, and you know his voice.
Yeah.
And then he can then work in your life, and you know it's the Lord. You know that you can trust it, and he will absolutely mirror his work in your life with something in the Bible.
Yeah.
Everything we've done for 10 years has absolutely been confirmed by the word of God. And if Darren and I were not in unity about something, we went to the word until we were in unity about the thing that we were supposed to do. And so I'm like, I inherently tell people, you read the Bible. I mean, if you, that is, we're in a space in our culture that we no longer have inherent truth. And we are living in an age that everyone has some piece of truth, and everyone has like a good word. Therefore, what is our litmus test to like the God working? And is this God not just a good word? Is it good or is it God? The Bible. The Bible is the great equalizer. I mean, in Jeremiah 31, it talks about the new covenant, and that new covenant is going to be written on your hearts, not on stones and tablets. And that new covenant is going to lead and guide people that you do not have to preach to your neighbor and to your family that you should know the Lord. You already will. And so it's like that. I'm saying that to what he's saying when we say roll up on your boat. We are referring to Jesus rolling up on his first disciples saying, come follow me. But you see that just like Jesus said, the word was God and the word was with God, and he was there in the beginning. So it's like Jesus is a connection to everything in the Old Testament because he was with God the whole time. Yeah. I've come that you may see the Father. And so when we see him, everything he does is a reflection of something in the Old Testament. And so you see that with Elijah calling Elisha. He rolls up on him while he is plowing in the 12th position, and which is like denoting I'm calling a new government. I'm calling the next governmental order of God. And it's like, it's the next generation. And so Elijah rolls up on Elisha and he says, you're my successor. You're the next generation. You're the next one God's going to work through. And he goes, please let me go say goodbye to my parents. And he's like, consider what I've done to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it is a very real tension when you're called to not, waffle in your mind. Yeah. And that's what Darren's saying. When he was in worship, he knew when God said it's now or never. I mean, it was like with a weight on it.
I knew this was different. We obviously had experienced the grace of God in our 20s, and he kind of let us, he was there the whole time, but he let us fumble through some things. But I knew at that moment that was different. I knew this was the moment where he was going to pass me by, or I was going to go follow him. And so that was like, it's just like God was saying, now I've seen what you can do from 20 to 30. Are you ready to see what I can do? Yeah. Are you ready to follow me? And so that was the moment when everything changed. Like, I didn't even want to tell Monica because I knew what that meant. I knew it was an all-in type moment. Yeah. And I say I knew, I didn't know anything. Right. let me preface that. Like, I knew at the time what my brain could conceptualize because I had never went on a discipleship journey. I was an American Christian. And so I thought I knew what it meant, but I had enough faith and I was hungry enough and I wanted it enough to say, I'm coming. None of the disciples knew when they said, okay, I'll follow you. They didn't know.
No one knows.
No one knows. So in that moment, to speed up a couple things, to answer the question, like some hard decisions we had to make, that was.
The first thing was the job. Yeah. We knew we had to give up our security, which is we were finding security in our job and doing ministry on the side. When God gave that prompting to Darren, it's now or never, we knew it was a call to no longer be double-minded and that we had to. So when we were then moving into DC, we thought it was to just start a church. That's what in America, it's like, oh, I'm called to ministry. I must start a church. And so we thought we were going to start a church, and Darren finds himself leading or in Bible studies in every single governmental building in the District of Columbia, which was nothing other than the hand of God. And that we were there with no time spent really in DC. I mean, nobody knew who we were. And so I was at home praying one day and just praying about the church, honestly, like a church building on the corner that was vacant. And the Lord so clearly said to me, if you want to lead my people, you must learn how to follow. I was like, what does that mean? We've been following you our whole life. I'm like, and now we're in DC, like we can't pay for our apartment and we're depending on you. And I was like, what does that mean? And so, every question we had, we like immediately went back to the Word of God. We were not online trying to find some word of confirmation for someone else. We were not dependent on any voice online. I mean, there were things that God would use as voices of confirmation.
Yeah.
But it was never seeking revelation from other people. It was revelation from the Word of God. Confirmation came from other people. And so at that point, we knew we had to move out of DC because we were like, we are not here to start a church. We're actually on this journey we didn't even realize we embarked on. And really, it's like we're following Jesus literally in 2017 or 16, whenever this was. We are following Jesus, and we are eating the Word every day as our only sustenance as manna for us. I mean, it was like our only provision is going to be what God speaks over us, because we have 2 children and then 3 in that point. And we were like, we have 3 children, no traditional job. If God doesn't speak, if he doesn't show up today and tell us what to do, like we're finished. We are literally walking on water in America with children. And our family is just like, get a job. You know how many times I was told, get a nursing job. Like, you have a degree, go get a job.
I was working for a company. They had closed down right before the holidays. It was a family owned. It was in real estate, a title company. They had closed down right before the holidays, right before we were about to have a baby. This is the one, right? Because we have 2 separate stories. This is the one for South River. Yeah. So, no. That was the company, the other company? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward to that one. That's a different story, but this one's better. It's better now. When we were in it, it was horrible. This is better. So that happened, and that was real. I had ended up going into real estate, and then I started real estate as sales, selling in Northern Virginia. And then I started a property management company because that was my background in real estate. I started in property management. So I started my own company, partnered with these other people. 51-49 partnership. Anyway, the partnership went bad. I landed a big account. The company was stolen. Long whole story. So that was happening. We were about to have another baby, and we were struggling. Like, we were like, what are we supposed to do? So I'm struggling at this point. Like, I'm all in, but I'm like, we're in Northern Virginia. Like, we got to pay for this stuff. So this opportunity comes up for a job in the corporate world, more money than I've ever made. I shouldn't have got the job because I had no experience. I went in the interview. The guy asked me an example to play out how you would handle if you were working for the company. I was just straight up with him. I said, I don't know anything you're talking about. I don't know how to do that from the trade. It was like in reconstruction. I didn't know anything about construction at that point. Never built anything. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea how to do that, but I'm telling you, I will learn. I will humble myself, and whatever. If you're willing to teach me, I'm willing to learn. I'll be the hardest worker in this room. Anyway, I'm driving home. A few days later, I find out I get the job. So this job is starting after Labor Day.
Amazing, but we were at war.
Darren
and I were at war.
So at the time,
because I was like, we didn't take this journey of faith for it to end like this.
Because we were a little bit.
This is not what God was. Yeah. This is not it.
So at the
Darren
time,
was like, I'm a man, I got to provide.
Yeah, was doing a 21-day prayer thing. So that was our one topic for prayer. We were just like, are we taking this job or not? And I'm honestly on the fence of I'm halfway over the fence of I'm jumping over, I'm taking this job, and I'll still do what I'm doing, my roles at the church. But crazy thing about this job, which is crazy to people, but when you live in that area, it's not crazy. We lived in around the Haymarket, Gainesville area, Bristow, and the job was in Maryland. So I was going to have to commute 66, 495.
Oh,
it was going to be a 3-hour commute.
Nightmare.
So I would have to leave 5, 6 in the morning.
And I'm going to have a new baby.
And I'm getting back. And she's about to have a new baby. I'm getting back after dinner, maybe at dinner based on the estimates and all that stuff. So total commute, total grind. We knew the person that recommended the job they worked constantly. They were good at it, but they were constantly working. This is 7 days a week.
Yeah.
This is all,
Yeah.
it's emergency work. And so this was going to be the life. And I was going to fit in my current roles at the church still. I'm like, I'll still do it, but we're going to get a
And
paycheck.
family
We're
will
going to get
come,
health insurance. Like we're going to
way-
be good, you know, and God's going to bless us and it's going to work. And so we were praying, and this is the part of the unity. You know, we did not make decisions if we were not unified. Like the decision was on hold, or we just didn't decide to do it. So we weren't unified on this yet. We get up to, it's after Labor Day. Labor Day comes the next morning. You know, we were like undecided still, but the next morning I get up, I get dressed. I'm like, I'm going to work, you know? So I get my little khaki pants on, my polo. Monica still just in the bed, didn't make me a sandwich, nothing, didn't say bye. She just in the bed like, we didn't decide this. So you are on your own. You better hope Jesus is with you. So I'm getting dressed. And as a man, I'm like, I have to do this. This is the beginning of this all-in faith journey. And it's like, you know, this is the tension that we struggle with as Christians. It's just like, you can find a scripture to support any thesis you want to build in your life.
Yep.
You can also find the voice of God speaking over your life, saying, go this way, go that way, go this way. And you know it. He's not a father that he would hide himself from you. He is a good father. And just like I teach my 8 kids every single day in front of them, loud and clear, here's my clear directions. But guess what? Those kids have a choice. They can say, I'm not doing that, or I don't want. And as they get older and older and older, you realize like, it's not just like, I'm not doing that, disobedient. It could be an actually, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm actually going to go make my own way. But can you please still be my father and bless me? That's what we do as kids a lot. And so I knew that God did not want me to take this job. My pastors in my life at the time were saying, you need to take that job. You have a family to provide for. This God, you know, calls the man to provide for all these things, all the scriptures, all the things. We're still gonna, you know, they were gracious. They're like, well, you can still be involved. This is how we can make it work. There's tons of people work in this area doing that. So I get in the car, I'm driving, rolling for about 10 minutes, boom, traffic, gridlock. And so I'm in the Manassas area and I'm driving and I'm just struggling with God because I knew I wasn't supposed to be in this car. And I'm basically asking him, please give me your blessing. Like, I have to do this. This is a miracle that I even have this job. It's the most money I've ever made in my life. And I can still be in ministry. Silence. God didn't say anything. So you know those moments. If you're listening, you know that moment. So anyway, I'm driving and I just feel myself drifting off the exit. I get off the exit. I don't even know where I'm at this point. I get off the exit. I start driving back home and I look up and I turn to the right and there's our church. And I didn't even know that's the exit I got off of. And it was like God letting me know you're on the right road. So I get home, I come back in the door. I say, babe, I'm not taking the job. I wish I could tell you after that story, everything was beautiful. It wasn't. Right. There were some hard moments, But you know what? We needed those moments because our faith would not have the muscle it had today.
Yeah.
If God allowed me to roll to that job and be so comfortable while him trying to teach me in the wilderness what it looks like to live off every word that comes from my mouth. There has to be this wilderness period where you're tested for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 40, if it took 40. But guess what? When he crosses you over, it's so sweet. And you can handle the weight of the blessing that he's giving you in your life. A lot of people get to that blessing without the wilderness, and we see it crush people daily. Yeah. The blessing becomes a curse. And so I'm thankful. And we could go through story after story, but the point is there's a lot of moments like that where we had to wrestle, and we're wrestling with flesh, and we're wrestling with the idea of trusting God at that level. Yeah. And it's like a daily thing. Paul says, I die daily. Like you talk about surrender. I love that. Surrender is the first step to freedom. And we've been conditioned that once we raise our hand, say the prayer, however your church does it, we're saved, we're good. No, like that's the intro to a life or daily you're like, I surrender all.
Well, because
You
when
can have this world, give me Jesus. If you're not
Yeah.
on that daily bread, that's why he fed them to the wilderness daily, except for one day gave them rest. But like, this is a constant reminder that you got to come out and get what I'm giving you. And it's a surrender. It's a moment of like, I can't feed myself in this wilderness. That's why they can't grow a garden in the desert. That's why he's like raining food down on them. But it's a constant reminder, like surrendering to God, and then I'm going to provide everything. If you seek the kingdom first, all things will be added. But that part of seeking the kingdom first is,
it's a rewiring for our generation.
Yeah.
Because we have not been wired in our generation in America to seek the kingdom first. We are no longer we no longer do that. We have every system and structure, and that is like the type of freedom that the American dream was built on is only the type of freedom that is surrendered to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If you're no longer surrendered to Jesus, and we see this in our culture today, everybody's like, oh, we're free, so we can behave however we want. It's like Galatians 5 talks about the type of freedom we are to have as Americans. But if you're not surrendered to the yoke of Jesus, you are absolutely out under the law. You cannot. And now it's like you are under the law, and the law has, what the law is producing now is lawlessness, because without Jesus, your flesh goes against law, which is what you're seeing in the culture. You're seeing lawlessness express itself as freedom, and it's actually not. I mean, it's why you see like we're in a standoff in the culture, and we're at an interesting space and time. And unless, I love your intro to this whole show, because unless the sleeping giant is the church, and the church is not a building, a denomination, or a certain group of people. The church is people that are surrendered to Jesus Christ, and they are preparing themselves daily to be the bride of Christ. I mean, that is the church in any given generation. And now that we have Jesus, and yes, if we wake up, if the church wakes up, there will be hell to pay, because that looks like people like us, that it's like we are absolutely surrendered to Jesus. We will absolutely do whatever God tells us to do. And we are ungovernable.
Yes.
Because that's what God did with us.
Yeah.
He delivered us from every system and structure in America. What did he start with? He started with surrender to him. And that's the thing though. You absolutely cannot deliver yourself from Egypt. America has become Egypt. You cannot deliver yourself.
That's good.
You have to have a C-split to walk out of this place.
Yeah.
And a lot of Christians, that's what a lot of people want today. I mean, they're prophesying everything, they're saying everything, but you have to actually be willing to leave Egypt for your C to split. And a lot of people don't want to leave Egypt. Every Christian I've talked to today, or even that knows our story, their number one first question is, how do you make money? How do you buy that? God told you to buy that. What's the money? Money. Yeah. Money is a spirit. It's called mammon. And Jesus said, you can either serve me or serve money. You cannot serve both. You'll love one and hate the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to talk about crazy? What of the crazy things? God told us to go buy a building in the last city we were in. We had a $12,000 P&L for the ministry because we had one faithful giver. We have been operating on 5 loaves and 2 fish for the last 10 years. He has multiplied it like crazy. He taught us about a whole system of lending and we had wanted to never borrow. We were like, the Bible says never to borrow. Yeah. So we're actually not going to borrow. We're going to pray for a while for God to deliver this miracle check to buy that building. Because God, you told us to buy that building. And God actually had us borrow to buy that building. We found a whole network of lending of interest only loans, which is just like, who does that? Yeah, right. Most people are like, no, I'm not going to pay interest only. Yeah. No, God did that. And he had us do it. to break the back of the spirit that was on us. We were governed by the spirit of money, because that's everybody in this culture.
Yeah.
We all think, how do you do anything without money?
Yeah.
And it's like, God is like, I created the gold and silver. Your American money is paper. My children say it's paper. Why do people care so much about it? It's like monopoly money. This is what my kids say. I'm like, I love the heart of a child, because we're actually supposed to become more like them.
Yeah.
And that's what God says. God's like, I own real estate. I own that. What can you even build for me? You can't build anything for me. The earth is my footstool. Heaven is my throne. I created the gold and silver. I'm all that. Darren and I are like, I'm serving that guy.
Yeah.
If he intends for us to do something, we bought that building. We bought 7 buildings in that city, and we tried to give them all away to people. You talk about the crazy things. You want to talk about crazy? Schedule an 8-hour podcast next time. I'm like, we got all the crazy stories of all the things God told us to do, and we did it. And the currency we came to the table with was faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith and trust. And that's what we came to the table with. We had no money.
Yeah.
And we did everything God told us to do. And it wasn't pretty. It was like a lot of hard work. It was a lot of crying nights. It was a lot of like, we're not going to make it. We didn't, our budget didn't make sense. Darren sits down to do the finances every week and is like, being broken because what I have to pay doesn't make sense with what I have coming in. And the crazy things God told us to do, we did them. And 5 years later, we ended up selling those properties all for double than what we bought them for, because the market turned, and the market from 2020 to 2023 was insane. Real estate market went up 200%, and people were buying things. They were waiving inspections. They were waiving financing. They were doing crazy stuff. The market has now totally changed again, and it's horrible. But the real estate market in that 3-year window is when he had us sold all those properties.
Yeah.
And he prospered us that way, right? But it's like, and
but
people can see that.
That was the plan.
People can see that.
No.
We didn't know that was the plan. And if it's so funny when, like, if you want to look at it very practically, people are like, well, you're a fool for taking out an interest-only loan. You should have never done that, right? God told us that we're the borrower, we're the lender, not the borrower, and we shouldn't borrow. And it's like, yeah, you're right. That's what Darren's saying. If you read the Bible that way and you're just trying to find a cheat sheet and a blueprint, you can make a theory for any kind of life you want.
Yeah.
But if you read the Bible because I'm like, God needs to show up today and he's got to tell me what to do today, well, he'll tell you exactly what to do. And usually it's going to look completely opposite than what you think it should be done.
Yeah.
And so when we did that,
to give context to that, don't forget your thought, but biblically to give context for the listeners, in one season, I mentioned manna. He said, collect it every day. Don't collect on the Sabbath or it'll mold. So it was literally a daily bread. And in another season, Joseph could have been studying his Bible. Oh, this is how God works. He wants us to not save anything. We just rely on the daily bread. He told Joseph, like, save everything because I'm sending a famine that is going to crush the world. What if Joseph was like, oh no, brother, God, daily bread. And it's like Joseph had to be in tune with what God was saying today. And that's your life. You cannot, everything in the Bible is good. That's why it's so hard for us as Christians. But that's why God says this is a personal relationship. I don't want you to be in relationship to some ideology or religion. I want you to have me. That's why I sent my son to die on the cross for you to have access to your Father, to graft you into the family as Jew or Gentile. Like now everybody has all access, but just remember that access comes with, I'm telling you daily, and every season what to do. And one season can look like this, and the next season can look like that. Do not make your prosperous season. Don't say, oh, I prospered in that season. That must be what I need to do the rest of my life.
Yeah,
or this person prospered doing that. We do a lot in this. We try to copycat people's lives and fruit. Oh, that guy's apple looks incredible. Let me dissect that so I can get my apple to look just like that. And so, just to say what you were saying, it's like, it's like God will speak to you in that season.
But what he had to do was
rate.
he had to deliver us from that system.
For sure.
Right. And so the system of money and the system of mammon and money and finances, he actually took us through so many trials because he had to break that spirit off of us so that when we have $100,000 come in our account, which we've had before because of these real estate transactions. I mean, Darren and I have looked back and we're like, we didn't even buy ourselves like a pair of jeans. Like, it's like very difficult for us to go out on a date after that and like celebrate. We're almost like, what's the next thing, God?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to, now that this is coming in? Okay, what do we go do with that?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because you're surrendered to the spirit of God now, no longer the spirit of mammon.
Yeah.
And usually now what he's had us do is take that 100,000 and now you got to go do something else with it. That it's like, well, that's like chump change. I mean, it's like, it's great. The faith weight just got
up.
doubled,
Yeah.
because it's like
up.
now we can't even breathe or relax.
Yeah.
He's like going to take us to the next thing. But when you're like, we're in a season of reformation in this country, and reformation it just means very practically reformation. We are in a reforming of our country, and we're at like a juxtaposition of generations because we're at like war with the morality and the norms, like the things that our parents kind of dissuaded and like turn their back to, and like they didn't want to deal with it. And so like you never like don't deal with something. If you're not going to deal with it as a parent, you will just naturally just pass it to the next generation. And that's what we're dealing with in our generation. And so the sleeping giant, the truth, like inherent truth has to come to the forefront of the Reformation to be reformed in truth. Otherwise, it's like everybody's saying, it's like war looks like peace.
Yeah.
Peace
Yeah,
looks
what's
like
bad
war.
is good.
Like
Yeah,
what's bad is
exactly.
good. Like truth is no longer there. So we're reformed into like this ambiguity of like, nothing is, there's no standard of truth anymore. And there are people, and that's why we say like we're here now to just awaken people to this truth of living this way of freedom, because it is the only way to live life.
Yeah.
It is the only way to live life. It is life more abundantly. The Spirit of God will lead you. He will deliver you from Egypt, but it's going to come with lots of wilderness testing, lots of wilderness trial. And why? It's because he's good. He will never take us into the promised land with slave mindset.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Egypt is all about slave mindset. What are you a slave to? You're a slave to the system. And this country, we're not even getting into the stories of travailing for our kids' health instead of running to the ER. I mean, this country has developed such a network of webs to keep you in the matrix, in the system, right? And God delivered us from all of those. I mean, healthcare, financial. Actually, the first system he delivered us from, I told Darren this the other day, I couldn't even believe it. The first system God delivered us from was church. Salah.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that one.
But you're so right. One thing that the Lord has been showing me, I think increasingly over the last, 4 or 5 years, is just the freedom that comes with decentralization and not having these central structures that we trust in, that we rely on, where, the authority figure, the trusted expert, tells everybody what it is they need to do. No, the central figure is Jesus. And he will tell everyone individually what they need to do specific to their situation. And that's very different. It's going to look different for everybody. Even I've been thinking a lot about health lately, and just talking to some really brilliant minds about true health. And one of the things that's coming out is, the Lord has like countless ways to heal people, right? Like even through the medicine that he creates, right? Through plants and minerals and all these things, he can do it in countless different ways. There's not
Yeah.
just one way that's
Yeah.
going to work for everybody.
And that was something God told us like 10 years ago when we left. And I'm a nurse. I have a master's in nursing. I have all the education of the world. And God showed me that when he leaned down into the earth and formed our bodies, that's why the earth, it's like he co-created with the earth. The earth became our mother. He became our father. He knelt down and put his hands in the earth. And he very gently told me, if you are deficient, depleted, or sick, look to where you came from. And I'm like, that was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. And then when I was pregnant, and I was pregnant at 20 weeks, five months along, and my background is in birth. I looked at Darren and I'm like, I still don't have a midwife. We're traveling. We're all over. We're following God. I mean, like, I get it. I don't want to leave the path, but I don't have a midwife. And Darren looked at me and he said, who told you needed one? I mean, most
Says the
most
man.
people, yeah, says the man.
You have a baby without somebody.
And most people would be like, y'all are radical. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it is, but it actually got me thinking, yeah, who actually told me that? School, the system.
Yeah.
Who created the baby inside of me? God. Who was the midwife for Mary? Who was the midwife for Sarah? Yeah, they did have village midwives. They had people that supported them. But Mary and Joseph, who was the midwife? Likely Joseph. I mean, it's like, this will test people. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, God will take every single inch of your life. You're right. God does have absolutely, our bodies are healing machines.
Yeah.
Our bodies were created to regenerate. Darren talked about this morning over coffee.
Yeah.
Go burn down a forest and in 3 years, go back to that place.
Yeah.
The earth is created to regenerate.
Yeah.
It has every single thing we need in it.
And our
Yeah.
bodies are the
We
same way.
have been programmed in America to think we are deficient from birth. You must inject your baby with XYZ from the day of birth, because they're born deficient in vitamin K. Let's take that. Circumcision. This is in the Bible. It says that the boys should be circumcised on day 8 by the priest. In America, we say you should circumcise your boys the first day after birth, and we're going to have to give them an injection of vitamin K. And it's because their bodies don't create vitamin K. And so if we cut something and they're bleeding, they may bleed out because they don't have vitamin K. And that's part of a clotting cascade that happens with your body. And it's incredible that God, I mean, even just that name, the clotting cascade. What that means is there is a cascade of events that occurs naturally in your body. You do not control it. You don't tell your mind to start it. If you're bleeding out, you don't say, clotting cascade, activate. Your body is brilliant. It is like a supercomputer operating independently of your own thought and function. So the clotting cascade, vitamin K is just a component in it that creates this fibrin that makes the clot happen, right? Babies aren't born with it. They are born with it, but it doesn't start until day 8.
Yeah.
Their livers are not operating like that, and they don't start the function until day 8. You're telling me God's design in the Bible, he told them what to do on day 8? The day scientifically that we've discovered it starts.
Amazing.
Yeah.
God told them to do it.
It is amazing.
Okay.
amazing.
And it's like, that's how our bodies are. But we've been told in this country, you're born deficient and you need man's intervention as a baby. You need to be injected with all these things because, you were born broken. And it's like, that's not true. And that's everything in this Bible, everything in the Bible compared to the system of America. Darren started pressing us on. Who said that?
Yeah.
Who said that? Who taught us? He started
Yeah.
questioning everything. And we're like, what does God say about that?
We've just made the Bible too prophetic. It's a very practical. God is he's so practical. And
It's both.
his ways are so higher. But when he comes down to speak to us, just like that practicality of the 8th day for all of the rules that they had there was embedded into the scientific makeup of our body. And it's like, God absolutely has a kingdom that operates. We are citizens of his kingdom. And that's why it's not lawlessness when we talk about freedom, because there's a way that his kingdom operates.
Yeah.
I mean, his son is operating. It cannot be off a degree or we would fry or freeze. So there's order to the kingdom. But when he comes to set you free, which is so needed for our nation, I don't have the context for the world, but a lot of people in the world as well, from what I can see. But for America, I have a pulse on. We so need to be delivered from the kingdom that Pharaoh has established in this nation. But it's so difficult because the interim between deliverance and freedom is a period of time that you have to be so utterly dependent. Like your faith has to come alive. It's no more memory verses. It's no more, I love Jesus, he's my savior. It is your life is dependent on that manna to fall, on that water to come from that rock.
Yeah.
And so the interim period is where people, they think that the Red Sea exists in the middle of Egypt, but no, they had to literally leave the country to get to the point that they're standing at that sea. Then it splits, then you're journeying in the wilderness. And so in that period of the wilderness for us, there was a lot of like, man, those pomegranates or that salary or that direct deposit or, you know, to know where my food's coming from. Egypt looks pretty sweet from the wilderness.
You might be circling the mountain.
Find the verse once they cross into the promised land that talks about Egypt's pomegranates. They're in paradise. Yeah. They're in the promised land. They're driving out nations. They're taking back what the devil stole.
Would you talk about for a second, how did you know that you left the wilderness? Because I personally have had a number of false starts where I felt like, ooh, I'm leaving the wilderness. It's so behind me. And guess what? It wasn't. It was just like a new level of dunes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
beautiful.
True.
I don't even know.
Darren said this last night. I love God. I mean, Darren said this last night. He's how do we know we're leaving the wilderness this November on the first day of the month? And how do I know that? Deuteronomy 1. God literally made it so clear to us that we were to break camp on the 40th day, or in the 40th year on the first day of the 11th month. We went to Hawaii in September, and we knew it was significant because Darren is 40. And he turned 40 in July. We went to Hawaii and we went to look at this house at the open house. And the realtor starts talking to us. And he's like, I came here from Canada when I turned 40 because I was having a midlife crisis and I needed a change. And we were like, that's crazy. We're obviously like feeling led here, and Darren just turned 40. And Darren has been feeling like this stirring of like, our last season is coming to a close. We have done this for 10 years now. And if you look up the definition of the word Odyssey, it is a 10-year journey. And so we're like, that has actually been like our last 10 years has been an Odyssey. But we both feel the grace lifting that it's changing. Like the life for us is changing. It will not look at all like the last 10 years. So then when we were in Maui, we were going to look at this other house. It was a rental. We drove by it and we were like, this really is not like our thing. It's got a small yard. It's in a city type area. And that's just for eight children. So like, that's the other thing. Like God supernaturally birthed through us. That is absolutely a characteristic of God. And we have 8 children. We always wanted 4. God totally blew our desires out of the water. And so
made us wealthy with kids.
Yeah. So with 8 children, we were like, oh, that's too small of a yard. And this is just not our thing. So I wrote the lady and I said, I'm sorry. We drove by it. I don't think we're going to look at it. We don't want to waste your time. It's just not for us. So she wrote me back and she said, I want to tell you that I guess I'll tell you the story now. I was hoping to tell you when I saw you, but she said, we know one person from Virginia. She moved out here for 3 years. We became good friends through our church group. And she said, I reached out to her to ask if she knew you guys, because I knew you guys were from Virginia. And I just thought, oh, I'll just take a shot at it. She said, she worked with both of you at the hospital.
Can't make this stuff up.
What? And so we said to her, clearly God wants us to meet you. Let's meet. The house isn't going to work for us, but let's meet. So we end up having dinner with her and her husband, and her husband is a doctor at the hospital there on the island. And they looked at us and they said, we're actually moving. And we were like, what? And they said, yep, we're moving. We came here when Barron, his name is Barron, his name is Darren. We came here when Barron was 40. And we were like, this is so crazy. It was in the same day as the other realtor. So in one day, two different people are like, we came here when we were 40. And Darren and I were like, oh my goodness, okay, we can't really deny, like, that's crazy. This is already what we were feeling. This is confirmation. So we come home and we get home and we're like, wow, that was like, that's 2 stories from there. We have like 10. And so just crazy God happenings. We get back home and it's kind of what you're saying. You're like, you feel like you came out of the gate and you're like, actually, I think that was a false start. Like that actually wasn't. And we have felt that for, like, I will tell you, times. 2 years. Yeah. And so for 2 years, this has happened. And so last night, actually, Darren was like, we're leaving on the 1st. And it's funny, something God has spoken through with us is horse racing. Like, and so on the 1st of November this year is the Breeders' Cup. It's like the big race with all the biggest horses. And so I was like, isn't that crazy? We're leaving on the 1st and it's the Breeders' Cup. And Darren's like, yeah, because we've had 15 false starts and here maybe we'll be out of the gate this Saturday. And so to say, like, to encourage you, like, we have felt that same thing. He literally just talked about it last night. But when we were back here, we were searching the word for direction again and just asking God, like, what are we doing? We thought you were crossing us over. And when we were flying over there, we were reading, Darren was reading a book, and in it, Deuteronomy 30 was a commission from Moses. And the commission is, here's my warning to you and my directions as you cross over into the promised land. And he's giving it to the next generation. And when Darren was reading it on the airplane, I mean, it was like fear of the Lord, like weight as we were flying over there. And Darren's like, this is for us. And so we come back home, sitting in the living room, depressed, like, here I thought we were released and like nothing is working out and nothing makes sense. And I opened my Bible and I'm just searching for answers, searching for clarity. And I knew we had read that flying over, which is Deuteronomy 30. It's the end of Deuteronomy. And so I'm like, let me go to Deuteronomy 1. Like, let me go back to the beginning. Let's see if like God has something. And literally the first thing I read was, in the 40th year, on the 1st day of the 11th month, break camp. You have stayed at this mountain long enough.
Oh, wow. That's
and
so good.
It was like, we knew that we were supposed to leave on November 1 to drive to LA and fly to Hawaii. And that was 2 weeks ago. And people are like, what? Yeah. You're flying and moving to Hawaii in 2 weeks? You have 8 children? Like, how? I mean, our family is like, Darren even said to somebody else, he was like, you've had a front row seat to this kind of like God moving in our life for like 10 years. I mean, this really is not like, this should not surprise people, but the reality is it does. If Isaiah warned us, Jesus said it, my people have ears, but they do not hear. They have eyes, but they do not see. And it's like, you understand, you can discern the times of the seasons, but you can't discern the signs of the times. You can discern that by the clouds, you know when to sail, but you don't know the times in which God is working. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that you would be like the sons of Issachar, who actually could discern and tell God's people what he was doing in the time he was doing it in. Yeah. And it's like, when God is working, oh, that you would say, rend my heart, tear my calloused heart apart, and open up my blind eyes. And that's what God has done with us. And we're like, that is available to everyone. Darren and I will never say, hey, come join our church and be codependent on us and our teaching. No, we're like, please take the journey. I agree with what you said earlier. You said that God will tell you for your life what you are to do. That absolutely is true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that, there are absolutely spiritual leaders in a time that are given a voice for a corporate working of God, and that is where God sends the prophets. He sends the apostles. He sends people to a region, to a place, and it is to reflect the place from which you were sent. It's like Paul, like I'm being sent, I'm a servant and a slave to Christ, and I'm being sent to a region, and I'm giving that region an impartation of the kingdom of heaven. And what those people do with that is up to them. Yeah. And it is like, it's very confounding to people to think there could be a spiritual leader for a day and time and age and country and nation. But also with that, this God is so big that he can work in my individual life and tell me individually what to do and how to do it. And it is the tension to know the difference, because still God does work in nations and generations. Yeah. We have become very self-focused in our generation of Americans, and that it's all about our purpose-driven life and not necessarily the national, the nation of it. But it's like the way God speaks to the church and the generation in the day is like revelation. Like we see that as a blueprint. And just like he told John, I want you to write to the churches of Philadelphia. I want you to write to the church of Laodicea. I want you to write to these churches of regions. I mean, that is how America, it's like God is declaring things and speaking things over America. Not all of them are good. And it's like people are in this day. I mean, I think people are at an interesting place there. I think there's invitations all over this podcast. There's a lot of people like ourselves that are giving people the invitation to leave. But a lot of people don't want to leave the system.
Yeah. Also, it's like practically, just spend 30 seconds on it, 45 maybe. Practically because we've had so many false starts. My God, I just even love that term. I just see the flag being thrown up. What did y'all doing? I tell you to go yet. I didn't say HUD. So we've had so many false starts, but like practically to answer that, it's just like, just look at Noah's life. He lived hundreds of years before the ark, and then God showed up on the scene and said, I need you to build this boat. Then he spent almost 100 years building the boat. Then he gets on the boat and the rains and everything came like God said it. Once that season was over, he knew a shift was in the atmosphere. One, there was no more rain coming, but he felt something shifting. He's like, I'm going to send a bird out. Send a little birdie to see, can I get off this boat? Is there some land out there? Because I'm kind of getting stir crazy with these monkeys jumping everywhere. So he's like, so the bird, it was a false start. Like the bird didn't find anything the first time. Yeah. And then, story goes on, sends it out again, and then sends out the raven. So he knew. But even when the bird comes back and he's like, oh my goodness,
there's
greenery. There's life outside of this boat, this wilderness, whatever you want to call it. And you're like, I'm ready to get off. Noah didn't jump out the window and swim towards that tree.
So good.
God had to literally open up that door.
So good.
The same way he closed you in, he has to bring you out. You can bang on that door all you want. Bang, bang, bang. How do you know when you're at the gate? It didn't open. You keep hitting the gate. You try to come out into the horse. You just hit, and so you feel it. Where even if you launched yourself into like, I'm out of the wilderness, when you're hitting the gate. When you're hitting the door. So you kind of get back on the boat.
So good.
So when you walk off and you don't hit that door. and you
Amen.
see a new world that's unfolded before you that you didn't have to do one thing for. You go in, you occupy, and you steward. And it's the same thing with the Israelites coming out of the wilderness. When they crossed over, their first mission was just to march. And then on the seventh day, make a sound.
Yeah,
And I'm giving
that's
you
so
this
good.
city. So when like, I'm not
So
getting
good.
up every morning catching manna. I'm like actually doing something different now. I'm marching. It's still
Yeah.
crazy. He still has me in the crazy. Like everybody's looking at me crazy still. People are still looking at us crazy. Like our comments
Yeah.
from our posts, it's just people don't conceptualize. We're still crazy. So, but it's like,
okay.
it's okay. Cause I'm gonna march. I'm gonna do what he told me. And then on the seventh day, I'm gonna make a sound and then I'm gonna occupy this whole city. So your assignment, everything will change. They went from desert terrain to just the practicality of it to manna and whatever it was to like, now I'm like in a city. Like I'm in a different location. I'm doing a different thing every morning. I'm marching, not collecting manna. And then like for Noah, he didn't get off and become a boat builder. He didn't open up a boat enterprise. Like this ark just floated on a flood. I'm about to sell these blueprints. I'm gonna become a billionaire. And God says, nope, plant a vineyard, become a farmer, or do whatever.
And have lots of kids.
Yeah, have more kids. That's your assignment now.
Yeah.
And so it's like you'll come off. You'll know when it's time because you're not hitting that door or that gate anymore. And you'll have
coming off to a new
world.
world.
You'll have blueprints in your hand, and your whole world will be different. You will not remain in anything the same when that season ends. And that's for everybody. I can tell you that like that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. If you come out of that gate or that door and anything looks the same, get back on the boat because it's not time or you're not ready. So keep circling the mountain and let them kill something else inside of you. Yeah. Surrender even deeper till you can come off and you're like, ooh, like Hawaii with 8 kids? You thought Northern Virginia was expensive? It's just like
kidding.
You can't drive off you're in the middle of the ocean. Everything's different. And it's not like we plan this. Where can we go to make our life look different to justify us out of the wilderness? It's like, no, this is God. And so that's what you'll know when that door swings open and you're like, ooh, I haven't seen anything like this before. And you'll have blueprints in your hands. So yeah.
And radical. It's radical.
Yeah.
Y'all are radical.
I feel like this needs to be like a 10-part series.
Yeah.
I know.
Just like it needs to be like,
we at least need to have a call after the show is over. But before we move on from this, I do want y'all to talk about what your invitation is. What's Homeland United? How are you building community? What does that look like?
Okay, so Homeland United is basically in this next season, God has really put on our hearts that unity is absolutely paramount. A non-negotiable. I mean, we are just seeing this when we talk about what we're seeing in the culture. Obviously, what we're seeing in the culture is with our naked eye. It's not the hands and moves of God in the sense that Darren says the devil is playing checkers, God is playing chess. Okay, so what you're seeing, God is already 25 steps ahead. I mean, he knows. And right now, even with us relocating and moving, I mean, we know this is happening with a lot of people. We know God is moving chess pieces into play in areas that we do not understand. You have to surrender to being in his hand. Yeah. You have to surrender to go where he puts you. And with that, for us, our real focus this next season is unity. We have been in a season of wilderness preparation. I mean, that's what the wilderness is. A lot of people get weary of it, but honestly, like it is preparation. It's the forerunning of a Jesus movement where we would have never had our character built or learned the voice of God like we did in the wilderness. I would not trade it for the world. It is a blessing and a favor of God on your life if you're even called to that period of time. With that said, if you remain in a place that he no longer is, the wilderness is absolutely isolation. And it can create islands. And I think a lot of what the digital world has done has done just that. It makes people feel connected, but it's like building something on sinking sand, And so honestly, I see a lot of these people and they're building their platforms, their followings on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and God bless it. we've seen in a season what they can do with people that say something they don't want them to say.
Yeah.
And in an instant, you're gone. And with that, you're following your connectivity. And, you know, a lot of people in the natural are saying that our country is, America is on the verge of a civil war, and it's just a matter of time. And there's been a lot of promptings, you know, people trying to provoke it, right?
Sure.
And so you see that when you see, you know, the response to Charlie Kirk's funeral was peace and vigilance, return to church. They've compared it to, you know, what happens when with the incident with George Floyd. You
Right.
see burnings of cities and people, you know, just hate and violence. And there is a very clear defined line in the sand as to what the differences are that could provoke a civil war, right?
Yeah.
And I always say we would never win in a civil war, actually, because people are not unified. And they actually, like they say, wars are won before they're even fought. And I think that the powers that be for darkness really feel like they're winning just by the fact that everyone's on these platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, because it's one big, you know, experiment that everyone is following exactly what they want them to be doing. And what it's creating is it's creating like a fame culture instead of unity. And so
Yeah.
you have all these voices on these platforms, and they're actually like, who do you follow? Like, who is the Samuel of this generation? Who is telling us the enemy is coming? And what is our battle strategy to actually win against the enemy? The strategy is actually never the same as flesh and blood. I mean, Ephesians says,
Yeah.
we do not fight against flesh and blood. I'm not saying prepare for a civil war by getting your guns and ammo and all the things. I mean, it may be that. But what I am saying is God's strategies are usually not that. And for us, the strategy God has given us is unity and a cohesive place to actually come together in that unity online, because online is amazing. We love that we're talking to you and you're in a totally
Yeah.
different state. I love that.
Yeah.
I love online. I love that I can get online and have like a marketplace and I can shop for secondhand furniture instead of going to Pottery Barn. I love the aspects of online, but I am now being wise and discerning, you know, with what God is showing us, that it's time to cultivate something that is outside of Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. And that's what Homeland United is. It is a platform that is a place built for community, which all these things claim to be. They claim to be community. And you do see that. You see homesteaders. Most homesteaders that are posting about homesteading have homesteading followers. Most people that are posting about health and wellness, they have people following them that want health and wellness. So it is community driven in that it's pulling people together in their niches that they want to promote. But when you're talking about freedom in a time that the powers that be don't want freedom, then there is what happens. And what we're seeing is censorship. And then censorship is going to go into canceling. And you've essentially just fractured every community possible. And if we were in a civil war, how would any of us know it? We are in a war. We're in a spiritual war. Okay,
Sure.
let's just put it like that. If we were in, and if we're going to win this war, we have to be unified. And there has to be some clear delineation of leadership in that unity. And so for us, the cornerstone of everything we do is Jesus Christ. That is what this platform is built on. We're built unashamedly on Christian values. We recognize that people actually don't know how to be virtuous anymore. They don't know what faith is. And the family is fractured. And those are the four pillars we're building Homeland United on. It is, so we will be teaching a lot on what is freedom, what is virtue, what is faith, and how to have a family. I mean, those are like the hedge points of our teachings. And then, of course, what's amazing about the platform, we're launching an app in December. So it's going to be a lot more user friendly once the app is here. But we do have rooms of communication or rooms of topics. And they are topics we're passionate about because that's what God has taken us through. And that is health and wellness, raising a family, stay-at-home mom, homesteading. That is a big part of God's plan in this next season. People producing, like you're saying, decentralized local food is going to be a big part of this next move of God and how he is strategically doing things. Politics and business. I mean, politics we think actually should be talked about. You know, we're raised in the generation you don't talk about religion or politics, and it's like, oh wow, that's easy.
Look what that got us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're actually completely a mess because of that. And so we have rooms for all those discussions. And so that's what Homeland United is. It's a community-driven online space. And the other biggest thing for us is we're not allowing ads. And I don't know about you, but like I can't get on one app today and not see insane ads. I was on the Bible. I was writing something, and I usually have my physical Bible. This time I went to a Bible website. I think it was, I don't know, one of them, Bible Hub, Bible something, but it was basically, I typed in the verse that I needed to copy and paste. I went to Google, I clicked on one of the results, and I went to their website, and they had a Halloween ad on the Bible because it's just Google ads.
Yeah.
So you can't control any of the content of the ad they're putting in front of people. Yeah. So I'm like, if my children went to the Bible Hub or whatever, they're officially seeing a Halloween ad, something we guard our children from. We do not allow them to have screens. We don't allow them to look at ads. So I'm like, my children's innocence would have been completely robbed in an instant because of your ad, because really you're just trying to make money from your website.
Yeah.
And see, again, there's the threat of money. It's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do this, but we got to make money too. And it's like when we compromise to make money, like you've lost because what you're doing is serving money and you're serving your budget instead of doing what God is telling you. So yes, that's what Homeland United is.
Yeah,
we feel like that's what God told us to do.
It's an online community that's extremely intentional. I know in this season, and we came out of church culture where all were welcome. Invite everybody to church. Let's just have a big party, which was amazing. People need grace. People need to be loved. People need to meet Jesus. Times are changing. There's going to be a bit more exclusivity in the kingdom of heaven, just because I think there's risk with who's in your camp. And we see that in the Bible. You know, God said, don't make treaties with these people for a reason. And so we see us coming into a time where, you know, we're building this platform. We're making it members only because we want like-minded people there. We want people that care about faith, freedom, virtue, family. We want people that care about Jesus in this community. So it's protected. And with that, we want people to be connected. And so if we have a platform of, 100,000 people that have the same core values, we have a membership directory and different things like that, because in the social world, we're so isolated and lonely. Like people, they don't front, like people are lonely out here. And so our membership directory is amazing. You can literally search your city, search your town, and those people will pop up, and you would have never known because you don't know your neighbor. Like you live in an apartment complex, you probably know 2 people there. And that's just the story of our country. It's crazy. We're so excited because we know once the thing scales, it's going to connect so many people. And they're going to be like, oh my goodness, you live down the street from me?
Yeah, we could literally be like
we were just talking back and forth. And I didn't even know you're literally around the block. And it's going to produce so many in-person gatherings. But it's just going to take people being willing to say, I don't want to be, so it's fine. We're on Instagram, all this stuff, but we see like people are not nice. The comment section is just brutal. And so we're not going to have any. You talk like that in our community, you're going to be kicked out. Instagram's not going to kick anybody out because every person means money that I can sell ad to. Like
unless you're trying to talk bad about vaccines.
Yeah,
Ding, ding, ding.
exactly. Yeah.
But like, this is the
it's
world we live in.
Yeah. And so in this community, that membership directory is going to produce so many in-person gatherings. It's going to be a protected community with people that have virtue and standards, and
therefore
the conversations are intentional. So like when you get on your phone now, get on Instagram, 15 minutes later, you're like, what did I just see? Did I learn anything? What is happening to my brain? It's like, there's so many, but in the way we've built this out, it's, the topics are the room. They're like little rooms. So it's like, if I'm coming to this platform because I have a question about business, or I want to talk about business with somebody with my product, or somebody, hey, watch this ad, this brochure I just put together. What do you guys think? I'm about to go to a trade show this weekend. It's just like, It's intentional. And so we're excited because obviously we're at the seed stages of it, but as it scales, it's going to be super intentional. You're not going to waste a lot of time just scrolling through stuff that you weren't even looking for, because that they know it hooks you. That's why they build this stuff. They're brilliant. They know what they're doing. You think I'm only grabbing my phone to look for this. No, you get on that thing and you've seen a million other things you weren't looking for.
It's true.
And so we've tried to make it to where you can be focused and it's intentional, and the ads and the rooms help with that. So that's Homeland United. You can find more information at homelandva.com. Just click on the Homeland United tab. But we're super excited to build this out. And then when the app comes, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, community in this next season is near and dear to our heart. What do you do when you're lonely in the wilderness and you get set free? I want to meet people. No, it's like, it's God's heart. We're supposed to be connected. We're supposed to be living in villages. We're supposed to be, Jesus at 12 coming from the temple. The whole family was there for celebration, festival times. And they start making their way back home to their towns and villages. And they're like, where's Jesus? It's like, so for Mary and Joseph to be so comfortable in their community to where they're not like, everywhere we go, we're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're yelling out their names. Adelaide, are you here? It's like, we know where they are at all times, always. For Mary and Joseph to be like halfway down the road, oh, where's Jesus? Like we were designed for this. It provides peace and security and stability. They've sold us false securities. Replace your villages with us, the professionals, the banking system for money. And the villages were that's what the apostles established. Nobody needed anything. Don't miss the verse. Like they were so deep in community. They knew the needs, they met the needs. And that's what we were designed to do. That's life, and that's life more abundantly. It's not just save me, Jesus, from my sin. It's like, that's the step. I'm going to take you through the wilderness to rewire you, and then I can place you in community because you're no longer a cancer to the community, because your brain's not, I've put you kingdom mindset in your brain. Now I can plant you in community. You could be a blessing in that village around you. I'll start planting all these people in that village, and you'll be living with one heart, one mind, everything in common, nobody needing anything. So that's the next season for Homeland.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to get involved with it. I have downloaded it or signed into it, logged into it, and I am excited to I've been reading your devotionals. They're so good. I love the practicality. I love that you live what you say what you live. Yeah. That's what we need right now. I mean, first of all, who has the time to not have that be the same thing, right?
Like, Totally. I do want to make one point, plug in. Every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, starting in November 2nd, I believe it is. We're going to pray every day as a community, Monday through Friday. So that's going to be a staple. That's going to happen every Monday through Friday. And we're starting a men's group. There's going to be a women's group. And the devotionals come daily, Monday through Friday. So there is a lot of things that we're creating, but this community is not just about Darren and Monica. We want a community of people connecting and adding value and doing all these things. But those are the things we're doing for the community: the devotionals, the prayer, leading the prayer Monday through Friday, and the men's and women's groups and different things like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Any final thoughts before we let you go and get back to probably packing all your earthly belongings?
We've given it all up before. We're doing it again. We're only going with a suitcase. So
Yeah. No,
we're starting over.
We're very thankful. Thanks for having us. We love the show. We love what you're about. We love what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
such a blessing to our life. You know, I love America that we embedded. This nation is special, and we're not reflecting that, but it's special because we know that all men are created equal, and they've been endowed by certain and unalienable rights from their creator.
Yeah.
From God, not the government. And that's what makes our nation so special. We wrote it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And you don't have to read half the document to figure out that is in the first paragraph. Like your freedom, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness is a God-given right. Government has no ability to tell you what that looks like. God gave me that right, and he sent Jesus to lead me into that freedom and lead me into the pursuit that I was created to chase after. And when governments overstep their bounds, like not only do we write it in there, because the forefathers knew that this ain't gonna, people are gonna get power hungry. Just know the same way we fought, you can fight, and God's got your back. Fight the way he tells you. Bang the pots, march the city, do whatever he tells you to do, but God will secure this freedom. So I just want to close with that. I want to encourage everybody, like, stop looking to the government to set you free.
Yeah.
It is only by way of Jesus Christ, and it is a gift that your Father God has given you, but you have to love freedom to the point where you're willing to surrender your life to Jesus and say, I want that. So I just wanted to close with that.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. I just speak blessing over your travels and over your next venture. And we will be getting you back on once you are settled and unpacked, and we'll see what you're up to next.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Love you guys.
Thanks. Love
Bye.
you.
Love you.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Meet the world's first living, full-spectrum, certified organic CBDA hemp extract. Ness's hemp oil was extracted from seed to bottle without chemicals, solvents, or heavy metals, and it surpasses world-class standards for purity. This pure and powerful CBDA has been proven to reduce aches and pains, ease mental tension, and promote better sleep. To get yours today, visit the Shop Our Partners page at freedomstate.us. If you're looking to invest in physical precious metals or convert your 401k to a precious metals backed IRA, please consider making your investment with our trusted partner, MetalStacks. Their prices regularly beat the big sites, and they have no credit card fees or minimums. Shipping is free for orders over $500. Just visit metalstacks.com/dwalker or get there from our website, freedomstate.us. If you're interested in the IRA conversion, drop me a message at Danielle@freedomstate.us and I can get you connected with their white glove service. Thanks for joining me today on For the Love of Freedom. It is an honor and a true privilege to get to spend some time with you. If you're looking for other episodes of this show, you can find them on all of the State of Freedom platforms. And a reminder that this show is live on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central. God bless.